A huge fight is on the horizon with Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen being in the works for the main event of a fight night on April 15th. And the winner of this fight would set themselves up for a title shot without a doubt, because in the co-main event of UFC 284 for the interim featherweight championship, you're going to have Josh Emmett colliding with Yair Rodriguez. The winner of that fight would more than likely face the winner of Allen and Holloway. So this is a huge fight and a huge step up in competition for Arnold Allen. But this is so much more than that. This is an intriguing matchup on every level of the mixed martial arts game, and especially from the technical side. When Arnold Allen collided with Calvin Kattar, we thought we were really going to get an inside look to how Arnold Allen could handle the top of the division. Because although he dispatched of Dan Hooker early on in the first round with Hooker's return back to 145 pounds, you have to look at the case of that being the most depleted and malnourished version of Hooker, and that would affect the chin and his ability to take shots. And even though it's just as impressive that Arnold Allen was able to get him out of there, the weight cut in Dan Hooker's recent performances prior to the win against Claudio Puelles, we're going to have the fans still having question marks in terms of Arnold's ability at the top of the division. When it comes to Max Holloway, we know how good he is. He only loses to one man at 145, and that is Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Volkanovski swept him 3-0, and in the last fight really put a beating on Max Holloway. The first fight was close, but a clear-cut victory for Volk. The second fight was a lot closer, with a just edged out victory for Volkanovski. However, many people believed that Holloway won that fight. And then in the third matchup, Max Holloway was dominated from pillar to post, losing every single round and almost getting finished at a certain point. But Holloway's durability, his chin, and his toughness held him in there for all 5 rounds. However, at this point, if you haven't realized, Volkanovski is just the better fighter. And I don't really see any realm of possibility where Holloway could win that fight. However, if Volkanovski is able to do the unthinkable and defeat Islam Makhachev at UFC 284, thus moving up to 155 pounds as the champion after becoming a two-weight world champion, he would more than likely vacate his title. And in that case, that is the best case for the blessed one, because he can beat about anybody else in the division so long as your name is not Alexander Volkanovski. We saw him compete back and forth in a competitive matchup, but edged it out pretty clearly against Yair Rodriguez, the man who's going up against Josh Emmett in the title fight at UFC 284, as we already discussed. We've never seen Max Holloway go up against Josh Emmett, and we saw the one-sided performance he had against Calvin Kattar back in 2021. However, this fight with Arnold Allen is different, because the one thing we have to consider is the amount of damage that Holloway has taken recently in his career. Not just in the third fight against Alexander Volkanovski, where he got dominated for every single round and should have been TKO'd, but his durability held him in there. Even in the fight against Yair Rodriguez, he took a lot of big shots that were unanswered. Now, he came back and he clearly won the decision, but it was a competitive back and forth fight, where I believe Holloway only won the fight via 48-47 unanimous decision, or 3-2 in layman's terms. Now, Allen is not going to be the more volume-based striker. Holloway has always been a punch-by-numbers type of guy, drowning you with the volume and winning via death via accumulation, so to speak. Just look at the fight against Calvin Kattar. And that's going to be an advantage for him against Arnold Allen. But Arnold Allen has the technical advantage, in my opinion, in terms of setting up his shots and his footwork. And he also has the power advantage. Now, I don't think he's going to have the power to knock out Max Holloway, but as we already talked about, Holloway's become more and more hittable in his career, and it's only a matter of time before his chin gets cracked. And I think Arnold Allen could be the person that does it. I know he's not known as being a big power striker, but he has a beautiful left high kick, a left cross into the high kick behind it, and a beautiful check right hook. And he puts power into his shots, and if Holloway doesn't respect his ability, he could walk into a shot and be looking up at the lights. But I don't necessarily think that Arnold Allen is going to be the one to put away the blessed one. If I had anybody in mind who could knock out Max Holloway, as long as he gets past Yair Rodriguez, I think Josh Emmett would be the guy to do it. If I had to pick one person at 145 pounds to knock out Max Holloway, it would either be Josh Emmett, or as a runner-up, I think Ilia Topuria could do some damage on Holloway as well and potentially put him out cold. But going back to Allen versus Holloway, I love the fight. I think it's very, very hard to predict a winner, and I think you have to look at Holloway's recent performances and the fact that he's become a lot more hittable when dissecting the fight. This is not the Max Holloway that we saw as the featherweight champion. And I feel like, if anything, Max Holloway has regressed in recent years. And not only due to the fact that he's been dominated by Volkanovski, but the fact that he's just eaten a lot more shots than we're used to seeing. And I think Arnold Allen is the guy who could really put a stamp on the end of Holloway's career. And that's not what I want to say, but you have to look at it from an analytical and realistic standpoint, that all of the top guys eventually fall down. And there's always that passing of the torch moment. And Arnold Allen could be the man that has Holloway pass the torch to him.